Good morning, everybody. It's Chris from Serene Education with the 4 major news update for the 27th of August, 2013. Hi guys, hope you had a fantastic weekend and a long bank holiday for those living in the UK. Let's have a look and see what Euro has been doing over the past couple of days in particular. Not much really. Finding resistance here at the 13,400 mark, and the longer it continues like this, the more likely, as I mentioned before, we're likely to see price actually start favoring the negativity side. Candles are very indecisive. Once again, at a resistance level, also not really good to see. RMO has started to dip slightly. MACD has pulled to the zero line. No movement whatsoever, flat, and that's primarily because we're trading into this resistance level. You can see the negativity playing out intraday. However, the long-term sentiment very much upside. You can quite clearly see we've been seeing higher swings on the dailies and weeklies. However, the intraday sentiment very much to the downside, and the R-squared complementing a number of time frames. So as I mentioned before, the longer we see price finding resistance at this level, eventually what happens is the euro is going to start looking negative. A lot of indecision candles and prices still trying to, after the last tweezer top, as I mentioned, this might have been a potential pullback candle, but you can see the sentiment still wanting to move higher. However, still not getting the overall sentiment on its side in order to break this with a lot of sentiment. And with this, what we need to see a break with a lot of genuine sentiment. We did see something like that. However, the sentiment overall pulled back and we were below this level. So here, do need to see a nice bullish engulfing candle on the daily, breaking this major 13,400 resistance level that we've seen recently. Get above that, then we want to see a pullback. So we could be seeing a couple of days of confirmation playing it, and then once we get that, that will ideally start then to play in our favor, so we could look to the upside towards a 50%. 61 on the weekly in particular as our next potential long-term target. So as it stands at the moment now, consolidative. We do have the German Info Business Climate Meeting results this morning at 9 a.m. GMT, which could potentially put something into the market in order some sentiment. But other than that, you can see quite clearly a major resistance level. RMO is starting to drop, which is not a good sign. So as long as this negativity continues to pull through on the other time frames, eventually the outcome is going to be one of a pullback. And if that's the case, then we want to see where it's likely to go to. We have the weekly fib here, but if you look at the daily, so we take the current low to the current high, you can see the 23.6 over here is just short of 1330.15 mark. You can see quite clearly a consolidation area in the past. Then below that, roughly around the 38, which marries pretty much closely with the 38 on the weekly. So we do have some targets intraday, and if we do see the negativity continue, then ultimately that's going to be the long-term sentiment for this week. Moving to sterling against US dollar. Here again, price rallying into a price support and resistance level, staying above the weekly fib at the 50% line. However, I wanted to see a nice bounce on there. We haven't got that. We've actually had a slight break below, and we've had a consolidation last week and this morning on the Asian session. Yesterday in particular, we had a doji, a spinning top at the underside of the 50% retracement on the weekly. Now we're seeing a lot of negativity coming through, and this chart looking very negative compared to the euro against US dollar. The sentiment, the R-squared is trying to complement some of that time, but you can see the overall sentiment is negative. MACD is below. The RMO, however, is still above the zero line, and I think as long as we maintain above the swing highs, as long as making swing highs, then the RMO is still going to be above the zero. So for this to be genuine intraday negative, start looking to your 4-hour time frame. You can see that the MACD and the parabolic SAR is still above it. So if the intraday sentiment is one where the 50% weekly retracement maintains as resistance, you can quite clearly see over a number of hours this has become a clear resistance level. A lot of indecision candles. We want to see a decisive bearish engulfing candle if this is to be a negative setup, and if we do see that, then we should be looking towards our weekly fib here at the 38.2 as our next target, and that is roughly where price is trading now to this level. You're looking at a healthy 139 pips and change, which would also be back towards our institution moving average, this green line that's coming through here. RMO is flat, MACD is just above the zero line, but flat as well, and that's primarily because we're still trading below this resistance. So we're in a consolidative range, and we want to see a break of this consolidative range. So we need to see if this is to be genuinely bearish engulfing, then we do need to see some sort of 4-hour bearish engulfing candle. We have another hour of negativity here. It is testing the intraday support and resistance level. Got to get closed below that, and that would look potentially negative for the foreseeable future. US dollar Swiss franc on the daily, here again, as its euro counterpart, consolidating at a support in this case. The other one was at a resistance level. Here we have a clear support, and as I mentioned, the longer we see price finding support here, eventually what's going to happen is the bulls are starting to come to play. However, you can see that the indicator box is still pretty much a picture of negativity, and the candlesticks are not really giving us any help as well. Yes, we have a support here in play, but the indecisive candles is not really giving us any indicator. We want to see higher swings. That would depict upside movement. The MACD has clearly moved back towards the zero line, which is a positive signal. RMO is also making slightly higher highs, which is also a clear indication, but it still remains below the zero line. So we want to see if this is to be genuine long-term positive, got to get above this weekly 23.6 to start with. That would be a first one. Then we start looking towards, ideally, the long-term center would be to get above the institution moving average, as well as these prior support and resistance level highs here at 93.66. Get above that, and then we're looking at plain sailing positiveness long-term. However, as we're still making lower swings, the sentiment is swing low, swing low, swing low, swing low. We're not making any higher highs. The sentiment overall, even though we are at a support, is one of negativity because we're not seeing any genuine bounces when we get to the support. A lot of indecision after the last bounce, which is not a good sign. So as it stands at the moment now, support consolidative. However, the indecision is still there, and the overall sentiment still wants to back the negative side. So we want to see a genuine break and close lower than this price support and resistance level to give us an indication. Yeah, we had a break lower. However, the consolidation didn't stay below this level and the continuation lower. So it's imperative that we see a break lower, confirmation, and then the continuation down. US dollar Japanese yen, the last pair of the day. Bit of upside past couple of weeks for this particular pair. The US dollar has gaining a bit of strength. However, you can quite clearly see that after the prior resistance level high recently on the daily fib at the 50% mark, price and this consolidated range price has failed to actually move any higher. We had a bearish engulfing candle yesterday on the Monday, so that's really played negative wise, and if that continues, this becomes a new swing low, and you can see the negativity playing out in the R squared complementing that negative sentiment. So intraday we could be looking for further setups to the downside towards the 38.2 and ultimately towards our 22.6 on the weekly, which will bring us back towards our institution moving average. So here you can quite clearly see on the daily swing low, swing low, swing low. Yes, we've had a little intermediate upswing, almost squeezing now between these 2 points, swing high, but clearly capped. And if we do see a swing here and we see price moving lower, then ultimately price is going to be forced back to the downside. The RMO is just flat. MACD is above the line, but we have seen some pullbacks recently after the bounce on the institution. So as it stands at the moment now, the past couple of days, last week, where price failed to move it rally any higher, has now formed a swing, and it's looking downside. So if this is to be positive, then we want to see this intermediate trend here acting as support, and then a reattempt recently. So here again, indecisive. It's consolidative nonetheless in a little bull up move. So look for a potential support level here intraday around this area here, which is what we're seeing now, and then look to see if we can actually see a nice bullish engulfing candle on the 4 hour. If you don't get that, then there's no likelihood for price to reattempt the current highs. If we do get a bearish engulfing candle close lower, then we should be looking to the downside towards this 23.6 as our first target. Okay guys, that's it. Short and sweet today. Please, if you are using this template and any of the Serene Education templates, please back it up with sound money management rules and follow the rules of the template, guys. Very, very important. Keep it simple. I'll keep referring to that. You gotta manage it. Look at major support and resistance levels. Look and see what price is doing around those levels in terms of candlestick patterns, etc. And then look for the confirmation candle or sentiment to back that up. Otherwise, keep it as simple as possible, and you will find that you will make less and less mistakes. I'm gonna leave you to it. Have a fantastic trading day, and I'll catch you first thing tomorrow morning. Until then, you guys trade serenely.